What is up, fight fans? I'm your host, Aries, and I'm here with another episode of Worth the Wait MMA podcast. I'm here to break down and give my predictions and my bets for UFC 326, Holloway versus Oliveira 2 going down tomorrow here in Vegas. And it's rare that we get a rematch that everyone is very excited for, but I think this rematch is an amazing rematch. Fighters who fought a long time ago in a different weight class, and their careers have really blossomed into really legendary careers. I feel like in the UFC. But this should be a great rematch. Before we get to UFC 326, I am going to go through and recap my night for UFC Mexico. It was a greasy card, man. It was a really hard card to kind of get your predictions right, and I mean every card is right, but there was a lot of spots where your night could go wrong on a card like that with the fights that were given to us, and you know, but for UFC Mexico, my picks I went 9-4, and then my units I went plus 2 units on the night. So we get another positive night for the bets. That is my second card in a row. So we are on a streak here. Um, and it was a positive night all around for us. And I got my favorite underdog of the card right. Um, we went 4 out of 5 on the confident top 5 confident picks. Brandon Moreno being that one that dropped the ball for my top 5 confident picks. My favorite underdog for the card hit and Regina Turin at plus 135. And then for my favorite bets, out of 6 bets, I got 2 of my bets right, and it was a good night, man. I'm happy that I got the King Green prediction right. I had King Green by decision, plus 650. I had a half a unit on that, but Daniel Zellhuber is kind of a fraud, and his chin did not check out that night, and that man got finished. Well, what is going on in 2026? It's insane that Green is finishing anybody nowadays, but I'm let down. I thought that was easy money, was the Green decision line right there, that prop bet, but Zellhuber can take the heat and the strikes from King Green, man. So here we are, man. Here we are with UFC 326. I am going to um, go through the whole card. I'm going to give my predictions for each fight, and then I'm going to give my top 5 confident picks, and then I'm going to give you guys my bets for this card. And I have 2 parlays, and we're gonna go through it, man. Thank you guys for just joining me today. Let's get straight to. I think this is it's a solid card from top to bottom. I believe. But we'll just jump right in here. Let me share my screen, and we'll just jump right into the first fight, man. Luke Fernandez making his UFC debut versus Rodolfo Bellato, and looking up, tape on Luke Fernandez here. Um, Good power, big power. He has that power of like if he connects clean on your chin, you're probably going down, you're probably going out. I believe he had a really good, solid. I think it was believed like a left. His left hand's pretty strong. Bellato has a left hook that is strong, and it checks out that he has a strong left hook because he does train with Poatan. So, left hooks go together, I believe, and it's pretty strong. He's pretty good left hook. Luke Fernandez though, um, the clinch work is nice, active in the clinch. But he has a very underrated kick game, and I think he can use those kicks in this fight effectively. Um, but do not sleep on the BJJ of Luke Fernandez. Okay, it's 6-0 in an MMA career. Still young, still green. Um, but he is a black belt in BJJ. So don't sleep on the grappling of Luke Fernandez here. And Bellato puts himself in a lot of bad positions. Now, I don't think I think he puts himself more in bad positions on the feet. But on the ground, I think Bellato, it's hard for me to see him getting submitted. Um, so, but yeah, don't sleep on the BJJ of Luke Fernandez. Okay. He did have like a grappling match with Phil Hawes, a former UFC fighter. Um, Now, Phil Hawes is a blue belt, but in a grappling match, Luke Fernandez won that match and submitted Phil Hawes. So I think the BJJ is solid. Of course, he's a black belt, obviously, but I don't want that power of Luke Fernandez to be overshadowed the BJJ. So I think it could be a sneaky side here of Luke Fernandez catching Bellato, but I don't know. So with Bellato, um, I watched back that Jimmy Crute fight, right? Crute got Crute, or he tried to take down Crute and ended up getting reversed and ended up on the bottom. And it's stuff like that where I feel like Bellato tries to do things but don't really go his way, or he mentally messes up a technique, or and just finds himself in bad spots, And even on the feet, he does have solid power. I think he's a grinder. He has a tough chin. He's hard to knock down or to knock out, but he can't be knocked down. And I think his chin, the way he fights and the way he strikes, he's there to be hit. Very vulnerable on the feet. So Fernandez has the power, I think, to make this a very um, scrappy, striking fight. But I think Bellato could be there for all 15 minutes, just putting pressure on Fernandez with his strikes. So this fight is very, very tricky to like get a gauge on because Luke Fernandez, yes, UFC debut, and Bellato in his last five, he's 2-1-2 with two draws, two wins, and one loss. And I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. Just the Crute fight and the Paul Craig draw. I don't know, man, but I still think that Luke Fernandez is still green. He still probably hasn't seen a fighter like Bellato who's going to be in his face and make this a fight. And I think he has the chin and the durability to um, make this a scrappy fight for 15 minutes. So I I won't be mad, or I won't look at you away if you want to go Bellato here, but I'm gonna go with Luke Fernandez, and I think this could be a decision here. Again, I just don't think Luke Fernandez has the power to um, finish Bellato and knock out Bellato, but I think he can make things interesting on the ground with the grappling. Maybe holding down a Bellato and being heavy on the ground, using the grappling to slow down a Bellato and his strikes. Um, and I think I like the cardio more for of Fernandez. So I think Luke Fernandez here with decision is a spot for me to go. So yeah, give me Luke Fernandez by decision. Up next we have Rafael Tobias versus Dair Nurgozhay. Okay, anyways. Um, I believe this is Tobias's UFC debut as well. We did lose a fight. We lost Lee versus Bolanos, and I think Lee did not make weight, or he had trouble cutting weight. So that fight is off the card now, and we jump right into Tobias versus Dayar. Um, so Tobias, strong strikes. He has really great power, great grappler. And it's hard to kind of put a put a gauge on the talent of that which he was fighting in the regional scene before he even got to the Dana White Contender Series. But everything checks out, man. He looks like a solid light heavyweight, and I feel like Dyer, he like physique wise, looks like a small heavyweight. So Dyer has some good. He has some good striking, but I think he's just a little bit slow at light heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Um, Again, with the people that he's lost to, like losing to Bretson Ribeiro is not a good look in my eyes. And being submitted by Ribeiro, like does not look good to me. But again, he has some solid striking, but again, I just think he's too slow, and I think Tobias is a little bit more explosive. Um, and with the Dyer, he got reversed by Ribeiro to get subbed, so not too high on the ground game from Dyer, and I think Rafael Tobias is just too explosive, too fast, too quick in this fight, and I think he can just be a lot to handle for Dyer, man. Um, yeah, I just think Dyer's a small heavyweight who's trying to make 205, and so give me Rafael Tobias to win his UFC debut, but by submission. I think that's the way to go. I think Tobias could just overwhelm and just get on that gas tank and the cardio of Dyer. But I think he finds the submission and locks up something. I'm gonna go with round two. Again, I think his game plan is to just to overload and overwhelm Dyer with just all the tools that he has, the striking, landing big shots, shooting takedowns, use the grappling, get against the cage, stuff like that. And I think he can find the finish here. So I think he shows out in his UFC debut. So Tobias by submission, round two. That's what I'm going with, man. Next fight, we have Sumudaerji versus Jesus Aguilar. Very, very interesting fight. I think that this is a lot closer than the lines may have it. So Sumudaerji, quick straight punches. He does a lot of great work on the striking on the feet. I have seen improvement in his takedown defense. He's showing the ability to get up to his feet, and he showed it in his fight with Mitch Raposo. He won that fight by split decision, but close fight. And you know, Mitch Raposo, who I don't think highly of, um, he got takedowns, but he was able to land some solid strikes of his own. You know, feinting the takedowns and catching the Sumudaerji up high. Um, and then Kevin Borjas just kind of got stuck in the mud in that fight and just wasn't really fighting like himself. And it could have been to Sumudaerji just being longer with the reach. And but Sumudaerji was a good performance for Sumudaerji in the against Kevin Borjas, who I do like. Um, Loses to Charles Johnson. Now he's been losing to grapplers and um Charles Johnson, Tim Elliott, Matt Schnell, which doesn't look good at all. No, that was 3 years ago, but I do think he's growing though. I feel like I've seen the improvements, and I know it's just Mitch Raposo, but it's good to see just him getting back to his feet and doing the right things, technically, getting back to his feet when he's being taken down. Now, Jesus Aguilar, um, big power, just big overhands. Um, he is going to be at a big reach disadvantage and a size, height disadvantage as well. He's going to be a smaller fighter here, but the way he covers grounds with his power and overhand rights, he can close the distance quickly. And I think if Sumudaerji is just waiting for Jesus Aguilar to, come to him and he's going to be the counter puncher, which I think Sumudaerji will. I think Sumudaerji may just have trouble finding the timing of his striking. And I think Jesus Aguilar, in those moments where he does kind of load up big and close distance, I think he can land some solid shots on Sumudaerji. And I think Sumudaerji he does leave his chin high, and I think Jesus Aguilar could find that overhand right to close distance and just get to the hips of Sumudaerji. Now Jesus Aguilar with the wrestling, now he can get takedowns, but he uses a lot of muscle to muscle his way his opponents down to the ground. Very muscle heavy, not very much technique, but Jesus Aguilar is known for his guillotines. He really jumps the neck whenever he has an opportunity. And he will jump it. Like, you give that little opening for him to lock up a submission, or you leave that neck exposed, he's gonna jump on it. And I really do like the opportunities here for Jesus Aguilar to jump on a submission here. Sumudaerji, he has 7 losses, and I think 6 of those are losses by submission. Excuse me. So I think that Aguilar submission is live. I think Aguilar is live to catch Sumudaerji in the striking with some big looping shots. I knew Sumudaerji is a very sniper-esque striker, keeps a long range, stays on the outside, but again, Jesus Aguilar is a power, low gravity, low to the ground, just loads up and throws. But with someone like power like that, I feel like he can close distance fairly quickly and just overwhelm and get into that space to lock up the body and get that fight to the cage and let him work in the grappling and against the cage and land some clinch work, dirty boxing. Do what you need to do, right? I think Jesus Aguilar is live here, and I'm gonna go with Jesus Aguilar to win this fight. And I think there are going to be a lot of um, opportunities for Jesus Aguilar to lock up a submission. I think he gets one of those attempts. Jesus Aguilar has looked good, man. Like he has looked good at flyweight. He's always an underdog. I feel like in his UFC career, uh Rafael Estevan, he matched Aguilar in the grappling. So and then he's lost to Tatsuda Taira. That's the only people that Aguilar has lost to. People that can match him in the grappling. And Sumudaerji is not that guy. He I feel like he's a one trick pony in just striking. I think is still the grappling defense is still needs some work, and I'm going to take to someone who has a lot of um, grappling of victories or submission victories. So give me the underdog here. Um, Jesus Aguilar to win by submission. I think it's a round two submission. I think he snatches up the neck. I think it's against the cage. I think Sumudaerji gets lazy with leaving his neck in a vulnerable place. I think Aguilar sneaks his hands underneath the neck, and I think he just cranks it, man. So give me Aguilar by submission round two. Okay, next fight. We got Cody Durden versus Tumendemberel. I don't know how to even say that first time, so I'm not even gonna try. Um this is a good fight, man. This is a solid fight. And I think people I get it. They may be scarred from Cody Durden. I get it. I feel like Cody Durden in 2026 is someone that you just can't trust. And I feel like he's been like that for a few years now. But I feel like Cody Durden is one of those fighters where he's winning the fight until he's not. And he's had moments of flashes of greatness, and then he just gets caught on the feet or just gets caught on the ground and just makes these mistakes. And I think he starts fast, and I think he outpaces himself, and that could lead to him slowing down and just kind of making those IQ mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And he's left vulnerable, and he gets finished. Now Tumendemberel, what did I write down for him? Lost his UFC debut to Carlos Hernandez, and Carlos Hernandez was able to get takedowns on Tumendemberel, and I feel like the ground control and the time accumulated by Carlos Hernandez in that fight, I feel like that's kind of what gave the nod and the split decision to Carlos Hernandez. So Tumendemberel is known to be taken down. The takedown defense is not spectacular. So, but his striking is solid. He's got some really solid striking. And it's a great jab, and he does work that jab pretty nicely. And I think this is going to be a tough matchup, man. I think this is just a tough matchup for Tumendemberel because Cody Durden's is always a dog. He's always going to make his fights and his opponents work. And yeah, I don't know, man. Um, again, Cody Durden 1-4 in his last five. He's a strong starter. He's a fast starter. Always seems to be winning the fight and then he gets caught and loses the fight. I just don't know. I just don't know if I can side with Cody Durden. I question where his confidence is at with himself, and um I think he is live. Just the way he fights, he's always a live dog. So I get people wanting to put a bet on him, maybe, but you just never know, and I think people should stay away. But I get it. People get excited about the Cody Durden performances, and they think about him flashing some great moments, and um, him winning these fights. And maybe they're not so sure on Tumendemberel to get the step up in competition because I think Durden is a skillful fighter, and I think this is a step up. So, and we've seen Tumendemberel lose to Carlos Hernandez, so I get it. I get it. Mm, I'm gonna go with Tumendemberel. I don't like it. I don't like this fight betting wise, or oh man, I don't know. I just can't trust Cody Durden, man. I'm just hard. It's hard to trust Cody Durden with a pick or money. So give me the 27-year-old, and I think he wins by TKO KO. Again, that striking is nice. That jab is nice. And if Cody Durden gets hit, if he gets hit too much, that man's gonna fade and he's gonna crumble. I like the striking, man. I think it's a little bit more precise, a bit more clean, has a bit more sting to the shots. Give me Tumendemberel to win by KO, TKO in round two. Sorry, Cody Durden. Alberto Montes versus Ricky Turcios is next. This is a very interesting fight. I'm not gonna lie, and it's crazy for me to say that a Ricky Turcios fight is interesting, but it is. Now, Alberto Montes is coming off a 2 year, almost a 2 year or 2 year layoff. He fractured a rib. Oh, 1 year and 6 months, 5 months, almost 2 years, a little under 2 years. But after winning his Dana White Contender Series and getting that UFC contract, Alberto Montes suffered an injury, and that's what kept him sidelined for this long. So finally making his UFC debut, Alberto Montes. From what I saw on tape, I'm pretty excited. He is a very fun fighter to watch, especially watching the tape. Um, Again, he loves the Dars. He loves the anaconda chokes. That's his thing. He's known for those chokes, and it's nice the way he set it up and just watching tape on it. Like he's really sneaky with where he's placing his hands in the clinch. If people are leaning on him on the cage, he's like positioning his hands, getting ready to lock up a submission, and he'll go for it, man. He really does go for these submissions, the Darce choke and Anaconda chokes. But he's just so conscious and aware of his hand placements and when he wants to go for these submission attempts, um, he'll chase them, and he's been successful with them. And again, just the awareness and the hand placement while he's working in the clinch, getting ready for these submission attempts is really really nice to watch. Um, he's and again he gets praised for his submissions, right? But he's a taekwondo background. He has a taekwondo background, so really good kicks. I think his striking is underrated a little bit. Just how people look at his submission game, it may overshadow his striking ability. Now he's a bit hittable. That's what I saw on the tape, but he is durable. Now he has been slept once. I feel like in his yes, in the Titan FC 4 years ago, he got slept. Nah, that was a bad sleep, dude. But I think he's evolved, man. I think he's coming out here rejuvenated and just wants to put on a show. He's been sidelined for a year and 5 months, and he really wants to come out here and prove himself. And Ricky Tercios moving up to 145, and I don't like this move because I feel like I don't know. I feel like physique wise, I feel like he could be a bit smaller, and I feel like Alberto Montes could have his way, um, and just kind of out muscle and be the more physical fighter here against Ricky Tercios. Ricky Tercios, the only person to submit Ricky Tercios is Rosas Jr., who's fighting in the main card of this card. He submitted Ricky Tercios, which I'm not going to take anything away from you from that because I think That's the only thing that Rosas Jr. has going for him is his wrestling and grappling, kind of. I feel like, but Ricky Turcios has high volume, sets a high pace, high activity. Turcios will push forward and look for, um, openings to get the body lock. Again, he's going to push forward. He's going to close that distance and get you against the cage, and he really does want to work the grappling and the wrestling. I feel like, and I feel like that kind of plays into Alberto Montes's game. Sorry, and I feel like the way Ricky Turcios fights, he's not going to stay out there and strike for 15 minutes. I feel like he has to close distance and work his takedowns, get the fight against the cage. And I think that just kind of plays into Alberto Montes setting up his submissions. The way I saw him set up his submissions while watching tape, if you want to close distance on me, I can play that game too. And I feel like Ricky Turcios, again, such a high pace, high volume fighter, but I feel like he's there to, um, I think he can make mistakes in the grappling, and I think Alberto Montes could capitalize on some of those mistakes that Ricky Turcios makes. So I'm gonna go with Alberto Montes to win by. Hmm, I know a lot of people want to go that submission route for Montes, but I don't know, man. Excuse me, my throat is killing me right now. I had to pull out the H2O for this. God damn. I know people want to go the submission route for Alberto Montes. I know it. But Ricky Turcios is hard to finish, man. And I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway here. And like 145, Ricky Turcios could look a bit more um, energized going into these rounds. And I feel like he can make it an interesting fight for as long as it lasts. I think Alberto Montes could just have his way in the striking, landing the more effective shots, but also getting Turcios on the ground and Alberto Montes kind of doing his thing on the ground with Ricky Turcios. Again, Turcios he really does get it back to his feet well. And if this is just a striking fight, I'm going to put my money on Alberto Montes to landing more effective stuff and the more effective strikes. And I don't think Ricky Turcios striking is just all that good. I mean, yeah, he has high volume, but this man has no sting on his punches. Just tapping you almost. I don't know, man. I think this goes off 15 minutes. I'll be happy either way, but I'm gonna go with Alberto Montes to look good for 15 minutes. It may be a little bit competitive, but I think Alberto Montes is going to do just enough to um, win a 30-27 decision against Ricky Turcios. Next fight, we have Dante Johnson versus Cody Brundage. Guys, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. Cody Brundage just got his ass beat, like a month ago. Um, this man just lost to Cam Rouston in Australia. It was a month ago. He just got finished, TKO'd. Nah, no way. Give me Johnson by finish. I don't know what the UFC is doing here with Cody Brundage. Maybe Cody Brundage has some dirty stuff like a blackmail threat on Dana White, and that's why Cody Brundage keeps getting fights. I have no idea why he's still here, but he's here. Stepped in on short notice, I believe, and I feel like this is just a look great performance for Dante Johnson. Here's somebody, go make a highlight reel, go get your name up, go build your hype up against Cody Brundage, who just doesn't look any good. I don't know, man. If you're picking Cody Brundage in this fight, oh my gosh, props to you. That is not me. Give me Dante Johnson to win by knockout TKO. Good for you, man. If you're going against the grain and going with Cody Brundage, because no way, ain't that can't be me in 2026. Give me Dante Johnson win, man. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Oh boy, we got Cody Garbrandt, Mr. No Love versus Long Xiao. Oh boy. So Cody Garbrandt, former bantamweight champion, one of the most impressive performances I've seen from a challenger taking the belt away from the champion. Him versus Dominic Cruz, one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen. I was heavy on Dominic Cruz that night, and Cody Garbrandt made me look stupid. He made everyone look stupid who was backing up the Dominic Cruz side on that. But Cody Garbrandt just hasn't changed. His game hasn't changed at all. It's the same game from when he was a champion and before he was a champion. It's boxing, it's pressuring you with flurries of boxing and punches. You'll get some leg kicks here and there, but he's going to basically outpunch you and try to beat you to the punch. And at his age and being a 34-year-old at bantamweight, you know, I feel like this is a young man's weight class, and these lower weight classes, um, you can age out quickly, and I feel like Cody Garbrandt has been there. He's been aged out. Now you look at these two wins in the last five fights. Trevin Jones, forget that performance. That was a terrible fight, honestly, from both fighters. And then he knocked out Brian Kelleher, who Brian Kelleher in 2024 was like, I'm good, bro. You're not, with all due respect, man. Like you're not that guy anymore. So Cody Garbrandt, yeah, he got a finish against an aging 135er as well. So those two wins don't say much for me for Cody Garbrandt. Now, in his last fight against Ronnie Barcelos, like he had a really good first round. But Barcelos was just too much, and he kind of put it on Cody Garbrandt. And I feel like Cody Garbrandt is so easily you can break you can break that focus mentality. You can break that will early in fights. And I feel like once things are not going his way in fights, I feel like he's just going to crumble. Like his confidence is done. Once you can break that confidence for any fighter, but specifically for Cody Garbrandt, once his confidence is broken, like I feel like he is not going to win any fight, man. And I just don't know with personal life stuff and his fight life and what he's doing in the octagon. I just don't know if his confidence is there. Again, he's a great round one fighter for a few minutes, but it's round two, round three. I just don't know if I can count on you to deliver and be there and put on a good performance and stay in the fight and your chin. I don't even know if I can count on your durability for your chin in 2026. So I cannot be there for Cody Garbrandt in this fight. I want to, but I just cannot. I hope that Cody Garbrandt wins this fight because I love to see him win. But I'm going to keep it realistic, man. Like I have a hard time backing Cody Garbrandt. And again, this is going to play into Cody Garbrandt's fight style perfectly. This is going to be a striking fight, and that's what Cody Garbrandt is good at. But Long Zhao, watching his fights and watching tape on him, um, this man can crack, and he doesn't really have that good of striking defense. So he's going to be there to be hit. And I think if these guys trade, it can get really interesting to see whose chin is going to hold up, eating these punches. But I'm way higher on Long Zhao's durability in his chin. Um, and yeah, you can. I mean, this is easily the best fighter that Long Zhao has fought. I get it, but Cody Garbrandt at what 34 years old at this spot in his career, confidence. I don't know where he's at, man. and there's too many question marks for me to back a Cody Garbrandt here. I've seen too much. I've seen him struggle with strikers as well. I know Long Zhao was not that well into his UFC career, but I feel like he's given us some good performances with the striking. I don't know, man. I can't get there. So give me Long Zhao, and I think he's gonna knock out Cody Garbrandt, and it's gonna break my heart. But I'm just trying to keep it real, man. Give me Long Zhao. I like the power that he has on his punches. Um and he has volume, dude, and he can rip these shots. And I think Cody Garbrandt's gonna find out that he has to pace himself and kind of be a counter puncher here to counter Long Zhao, but I just don't know how much punishment Cody Garbrandt can take because his head movement hasn't even gotten better. So both guys are going to be there to be hit. Both guys are hittable. Um, Give me the youthful chin, the durability of Long Zhao. I get people see the Garbrandt name and see the plus 140. I get it. People want to put money on it, but I'm good. You do you, I'll do me. We'll see where that gets us at the end of that fight. So into the main card, here we go. We have another rematch. We have Gregory Rodrigues versus Bruno Ferreira. The first time these guys fought, Bruno Ferreira knocked out Gregory Rodrigues in 1 minute, and I believe Bruno Ferreira took that fight on short notice. Gregory Rodrigues got knocked out, and that was that. I will say though, I feel like I've seen a bit more growth, a bit more positivity in where these careers are going from Bruno Ferreira, if I'm being honest. Now I feel like his Bruno Ferreira's downfall could be the cardio. And him, fighting 15 minutes is a bit sketchy. And I think Gregor Rodrigues could fight 15 minutes. I think Bruno Ferreira made it. He kind of cleared that statement for me of he fought a former title contender and highly ranked highly ranked fighter in this division, and Marvin Vittori. He looked good in that fight. Um, but I'm like I'm seeing a bit more of his game with the submissions and the power's still there. He's still a dangerous striker. He has big power, strong fighter. Still the knockout power's there, but I feel like the way this fight is lined though, with Gregory Rodrigues being a big favorite. God damn, I'm spinning all over the place. With Gregory Rodrigues being a favorite here and a minus what? Almost minus 170 favorite. I feel like this line is telling me that Gregory Rodrigues is going to come in here and grapple most of this fight. And by the way that RoboCop has the durability of his chin, I don't know if he can hold up. So I think he's going to try to close distance and get this fight to the ground. But even there, I don't know. I think Bruno Ferreira could, muscle his way up, and I think there could be some exciting scrambles and exchanges in the grappling on the ground from both of these guys. I'm not too confident in RoboCop to hold down a Bruno Ferreira, so I don't know, man. I'm gonna take a shot here on Bruno Ferreira. I still love the power. I'm not too high on the durability of Rodriguez's chin. Um, and we've seen it with the Jared Cannonier. And I'm not trying to compare Bruno Ferreira and Jared Cannonier at all, but Bruno Ferreira was landing shots on Jared Cannonier, but Cannonier still caught Rodrigues, even though he was, you know, having his own success on offense. He got caught. And then again, it just goes back to the durability. I think Ferreira has that power to still knock out a RoboCop. and I think he's done it before. And you're putting him at a plus what a plus 145. I don't know. I'm gonna try to see right here. I got the lines right here. You can get plus 146, plus 138. So in that range, you're gonna give me that for Bruno Ferreira, who has done this already, who has beat this man already. And I think he has looked a little bit better in recent performances, showing a bit more evolvement, evolution in his game. Sorry. I'm gonna take the shot on underdog here, man, and I think he's gonna finish Rodrigues again. Again, the power is his downfall, and I think Rodrigues just falls. Oh, I don't know. I want to call it the finish TKO, but I'm gonna settle for a decision. We could see grappling here that could eat up the clock. RoboCop could eat shots a little bit better here, and I think Bruno Ferreira could eat shots as well. But I think Bruno Ferreira could land significant damage. And the way Gregory Rodrigues, the way he be bleeding and that tissue, the scar tissue, I don't know, man. I think he's going to wear that damage. And I think Bruno Ferreira wins a 29-28 decision, unanimous. So give me that decision for Ferreira. Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. Holy moly. OGs in the 155 division. It's crazy that these guys have never fought before, and now we're here. I believe these are a 40-year-old, a 39-year-old, and a 37-year-old at 155. OGs. Now, hold on. Now, Michael Johnson, 3-fight win streak. Now, these fighters are not good that he's beaten in this win streak, but I think Michael Johnson is just showing that he still kind of has it. He's a really he's a good striker. He keeps he's a long striker, keeps the fighters at the end of his punches. Um I think leg kicks are going to be a big part in this fight. Who can land some of the better leg kicks to damage the mobility of their opponents here. I believe both are southpaw fighters, so we're gonna see who can damage whose lead leg first, and I think that may play a big part in who wins this fight. I think Drew Dober has the bit more thicker legs than Michael Johnson, who doesn't. But I think when it comes to hand speed, I think Michael Johnson has that by a mile. He's still quick. Um, but Michael Johnson is one of these fighters where he looks like he's winning fights until he's not. He gets knocked out and he gets finished. But with Drew Dober, and you know why I'm leaning towards Michael Johnson here is because the way Drew Dober looked in that Kyle Prepelec fight. Now I know he finished Kyle Prepelec, but I don't think if it wasn't for Drew Dober getting the point deduction in that fight, I don't think he turns on the alarm and tries to find that finish. I think the only reason why he went to kill mode was because he got that point deduction. Now he had to finish that fight or he was going to lose that fight. So there was desperation setting in, and he was getting touched up on that fight against Kyle Prepelec. Now Kyle Prepelec he's a good striker, but I don't know if he's a good fighter. But I thought Drew Dober was there to kind of show out against Kyle Prepelec, and I was wrong. So doesn't leave me in a good spot and doesn't leave a good impression on my last impression of Drew Dober the last time he fought. He does struggle. He does take a lot of damage. Drew Dober does, but he's always been there to take some and give some. But I feel like he's taking a lot more than what he's giving nowadays. But he struggles, man. I feel like he struggles with these strikers. Now, I know he's ran into his fair share of strikers who have power, and Michael Johnson doesn't have that power. But still, I think Michael Johnson could just again, keep this fight long, keep Drew Dober at range. Drew Dober may try to rush in and throw some looping shit, but we'll see if it sticks. And maybe it does, you know? Um, but I just worry about the durability of Drew Dober and taking punches and I think Michael Johnson, I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to trust any of these guys. Because even before the Kyle Prepelic fight, which I think Drew Dober was about to lose, his last win was against Ricky Glenn. Like, and Drew Dober just isn't beating anyone remotely good. Like, and I think Michael Johnson upsetting Daniel Zellhuber now, who looks like a fraud, but after that fight, everyone was still kind of on the Zellhuber train. Everyone picked Zellhuber to beat King Green, but I didn't. But that performance means a lot more than what I've seen from Drew Dober lately, especially those last 2 wins of his in the last 5. Again, he's a scrappy, junkyard dog and throw down with the best of them. But man, I'm gonna go with MJ here, man. I'm gonna go with MJ by decision. I think this is going to look like a calculated striking fight, um, where Michael Johnson just lands a lot more strikes. Damn, my nose is itchy. I think Michael Johnson just lands a lot more significant strikes here, and Drew Dober's left bloody. And there could be some exciting exchanges on the Drew Dober side with some good counters, but I don't know. I don't know, man. Drew Dober's gonna have to show me, especially at this fight's even lines with the betting side. So I'm gonna trust my MJ again, and give me Michael Johnson by decision. Next up, we have Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. Now, I'm a big fan of New England Cartel. I've been a fan of theirs since I saw Calvin Cater's debut. So I've always been a fan of Rob Font when he stepped on the scene, and I found out that he was from the same gym of Calvin Cater. I was like, hell yeah! So I'm a fan of Rob Font, and I feel like Rob Font gets counted out a lot, and he showed up and uh, you know silenced the crowd. But I do think that this is a bad stylistic matchup for Rob Font, who again is a great striker. I feel like that's his path to victory here is trying to stay up on the feet as long as possible to land some significant shots here on Rosas Jr. If he does get taken down, he's still able to get back to his feet, and he's shown that against high level grapplers. So we know that Rob Font can work his way back to his feet if taken down, which I think he will be taken down quite a few times in this fight. But I don't know, man. I hate to pick against Rob Font. Again, I'm not a fan of Rosas Jr., but I think UFC is setting up Rosas Jr. to a perfect ranked opponent. I feel like stylistically, um, I think this is just a good matchup for um, Rosas to get into the rankings finally. So I don't know, man. I think Rosas Jr. just kind of has his way with the wrestling, and Rob Font just tries to battle back in the 3rd round. Maybe he does land some shots that wins him a round, but I just see Rosas Jr. eating up the clock with the grappling and the wrestling, and I think he's just laying and praying for most of the fight to win this fight. So I hate to do it to my guy, but I just have to, man. I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry, Rob Font. I hope you win though. Please upset this man. So I can't stand him. Give me Rosas Jr. to win by decision, though. I don't think he's finishing a Rob Font. I'm not too high on Rosas Jr.'s finishing ability either. So in the co-main event, we have Caio Borralho versus Reinier de Ridder. What a great fight at middleweight. I feel like middleweight is on fire right now. There's a lot of great matchups to be made at middleweight, and this is one of them. It's great to see Kyle back in the octagon. Now, the last time that Kyle fought, he got outclassed on the feet. Imavov whooped that ass, and I'm glad I was able to be on the Imavov side of that fight. Um, but this is a totally different fight, man. And I think Kyle Borralho, um, more of a steady kickboxer. He has some good striking, but people may forget that he's kind of nice on the ground with it too. I think he can hold his own in the grappling against the Ritter. Now RDR, he's kind of come out and said that he was dealing with some stuff. He had a lot of blood work done after that last fight. Goodness gracious, man, my throat is killing me. Sorry, let me just take a sip of water real quick. I'm telling you, man, ever since I got sick, like my throat's just been bothering me. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, RDR, he dropped the ball against Brendan Allen. He looked bad in that fight too. But he came out and talked about medical work that he had to get done and had the blow work done, and I feel like he really killed his body trying to fight that much in a calendar year. So I believe he fought like 5, 6 times in a year, 12 months, I think, or a little over 12 months. But still, the schedule that this man has been on since entering the UFC has been nonstop, taking fights, and he's won all of them except until he ran into Brendan Allen that night in his last fight. And maybe it was a medical issue that he was dealing with, and his body just was not 100%, which I kind of do believe because fighting that much in a short period of time, I don't know what it could do to you, but it can't be healthy that many times in a short amount of time, cutting weight. It's not good for your body. But I don't know, man. Like I still like the Ritter's ground game, and I like his grappling. But I feel like Braujo can, and I feel like Kyle could just kind of match him anywhere this fight goes. If if RDR wants to strike, I think Kyle can strike with him. If he wants to grapple, I think Kyle can grapple as well. I think this is going to be a very calculated fight from both. Um, this may be a boring fight for casual fans, but I think this is going to be a very methodical fight from both fighters, and I think this is. I know on paper it's exciting, but I think as it plays out, I think it's going to be a very methodical striking and grappling matchup, and I think we may see. I think we see Kyle kind of pull away from this fight and win by a decision here. Um, and not to shit on RDR at all. I think RDR is great, but I think stylistically, I think he just kind of matches up against Kyle not really well. So I'm gonna take Kyle to win by decision, and I really do like that line there. So and that play. So all right, man. Main event time: Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. What a fight! What a fight! And it's crazy that it's a rematch and at a weight class above from the last time that they fought. Um, Completely different fight, man. it's just it's crazy to see Oliveira at this big of an underdog, and we cashed on Oliveira last time he was an underdog against Gamrot, which is crazy. But now here he is at a bigger underdog. I feel like you can get Charles Oliveira at plus 185, as low as 155. Like the value's there for Charles Oliveira, man. And I do feel where should we start? I'm gonna start with Max. I'm gonna start with Max. Now, Max at 155, he's looked great. Um, Beating Poirier by decision. He gotten that was at 145, I believe. Justin Gaethje, again, that classic legendary knockout that he had last second against Gaethje. Um, again, he has looked good. He's looked great at 155, but compared to a Gaethje and compared to a Dustin Poirier who was about to retire, I think this is a totally different beast that you're going to face Saturday. This isn't Charles Oliveira at 145. This is a Charles Oliveira that has held the title and was been on a crazy streak and lost, obviously, but he went on a crazy legendary run at 155, and it's crazy just to see him at a big price tag. Now, Max Holloway is going to overwhelm you with boxing, with hands, the speed in hands, the kill you by 1,000 cuts type of offense is what Max Holloway brings to this fight. Max Holloway doesn't have the power. Now, I know that he slept Gaethje, but I believe the placement of the punch had a lot more to do than the power. I believe that was just a perfect shot that landed in a perfect place, and that's what slept Justin Gaethje at that last second knockout at UFC 300. I don't think Max Holloway has that power to knock out anybody. Now, it did happen that one time. I get it, but again, I don't know if again he has to punch you 300, 200 times to get someone out of there. I just don't know. And Max Holloway hasn't fought a grappler like this maybe ever in his career. Now if I feel like he did fight Brian Ortega, but I feel like that was a Brian Ortega who was falling in love with the striking more than a grappling, and it almost became like a striking fight in that fight. And Charles Oliveira, I think Charles Oliveira is huge. Like Charles Oliveira is big at 155. I feel like he fills out um just thick at 155 come fight night. And I feel like there's gonna be a significant um like power advantage in Charles Oliveira come fight day. I think he fills out well. I think he hydrates well. I think if Charles Oliveira can lock up the body and get Max to the ground, I think Max Holloway's in some deep shit. I think Max Holloway is going to muscle his way and have his way in the grappling. And like we just haven't seen Max in this type of fight before. And there's a lot of question marks on how he can deal with the grappling and the submission defense of a very, very dangerous jujitsu um fighter here in Charles Oliveira, who probably has some of the most submission wins in UFC history. I don't know what that is like, but I don't know. You know, when this fight was announced, I was heavily on Max Holloway, um, just because I was just thinking about the boxing, and I was thinking about the volume of boxing and pressure from Max. But the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of leaning towards Charles Oliveira, and I feel like we're seeing Oliveira use his grappling a lot more in the recent fights. We saw it a lot with Michael Chandler. He almost had Armin Sarukian out of there, but Armin Sarukian had to almost slip out of his shorts, his trunks, to escape that deep submission attempt. And we saw it. So he used a lot of grappling versus Michael Chandler, where he had to slow down the offense of Michael Chandler, slow down the explosion of Michael Chandler, who is very explosive on the feet. Um, he got KO'd by Ilya Taporia. I mean, who's not? I mean, Max Holloway got KO'd as well. And then we saw him against Mateus Gamrot. He bounced back and he outgrappled Gamrot. We're just seeing Charles Oliveira be a bit more active with the grappling and not so much trying to get into a firefight. And I think he does find Max Holloway's body and locks up a body lock and maybe gets a sweep on Max Holloway and gets his fight to the ground. I think we saw we've seen Max Holloway get taken down by Poirier. I think Poirier took him down, maybe. Poirier almost but Dustin Poirier also, I don't know, hurt, but maybe hurt or stunned Max Holloway in that fight as well. And I think people are really sleeping on Charles Oliveira's power in this fight because people are so fascinated and fascinated and locked in on Max Holloway's power and his boxing. People forget that Oliveira, I think he has solid power as well, man. Like he's knocked out a lot of people. He's put away a lot of people. Like don't sleep on the power, man. And I think the power that Oliveira has, if he can land some good shots on Holloway with the ability to take this fight to the ground and possibly submit Max Holloway, I think Charles Oliveira just has more ways to win this fight, and I'm gonna lean the underdog here, man. I'm gonna go with Charles Oliveira, and I don't know. I don't know if he finishes Max Holloway. Max Holloway is very tough to finish. Again, we haven't seen Max Holloway on deal with a grappler like this, so he could be prepared. He could get out of these submission attempts. Who knows? He could be ready for this. So I don't know, man. And again, Max Holloway doesn't have that knockout power, and I think Charles Oliveira could eat a lot of these shots and kind of be active in the striking as well and get off his own offense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going Charles Oliveira just because I think he has more ways to win this fight, and I I like the grappling and the threat of the grappling. And I think people are sleeping on the power that Oliveira has. I think, and I just think Charles Oliveira at this big of a underdog price tag, I just think that it's just too good to pass up, man. So I'm gonna go with Oliveira by decision. Crazy, right? Because I think people look at Charles and they think finish, but I think Max Holloway is a very tough person to finish. So, eesh. I don't know, man. I'm gonna be sad either way. Whoever loses this fight, I'm gonna be sad. But it's a hard pick. Again, I was really high on Max Holloway coming, until I broke down and watched the tape and broke down these fights. I don't know. So I can guess to myself. Um, I'm going to I'm going to go Oliveira by decision, and I don't know. I don't know, man. We'll just throw it up and pray for it, I guess. So those are my picks for UFC 326. I'm gonna save that bad boy. And the picks are in, everything's locked in. Now, I'm gonna give you my bets. I'm gonna give you my favorite bets that I've placed, and then I'm gonna give you my top 5 confident picks, and that'll be it. So let's go top 5 confident picks first. Top 5 confident picks for UFC 325. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Tobias. I'm gonna go Montes. I'm gonna go Johnson. I'm gonna go Kaio. And I'll go Rosas. Those are my top 5 confident picks for this card. My favorite underdog for this card. Mm, My favorite underdog for this card. I'm gonna show you guys something. I'm gonna actually show you a picture that I have with my favorite underdog for this card. And this is a hot take. This is a really hot take. But I'm feeling crazy right now. And this is my oh boy, Do Bronx. It's time. Favorite underdog of the card. We're gonna lock it in at plus 155. Favorite underdog for the card, man. Do Bronx. RIP. Let's go, boy. And my bets for UFC 326. I'm not cool enough to have a website where you guys have to go to look at all my bets and picks. So I'm not cool enough yet. I'm not big enough yet. So I give everything out for free. I post all my picks and my bets on my social media pages, which you can find in the description below. Everything's out for free. So, but if you guys want to tell me, I've been on a hot streak with 2 cards in a row already, and we've cashed out plus money. Last week's card plus 2 units, and then UFC Houston plus 8.83 units. Man, we had a great night betting wise at UFC Houston. All right, you ready for these? My first parlay. I have a 4-legger. I have Fernandez. I have Tobias. I have Tumendemberel, and have Montes. I did have Lee on that same parlay, but Lee got cut. That fight dropped, so that's a 4-legger, and that's that. Next bet I have is Jesus Aguilar to win a money line plus 200. Again, I like the submission attempts. I think he can catch Sumudaerji lacking, and he's so optimistic about his submission game. I think he can find a submission. I think he can overwhelm with big shots, overhand rights on Sumudaerji, who's going to stay on the outside and look to counter. But I think Jesus Aguilar could overwhelm with big power, close distance, and get this fight to the ground. I think he can have a good night, man. So, next bet I have is Michael Johnson to win by decision plus 300. I have 1 unit on that. Next bet I have is Bruno Ferreira to win by decision, half a unit plus 800. A 2-leg parlay that I have Rosas Jr. to win by decision, and I have Borralho to win by decision plus 300. There's a 2-leg parlay, and I put 1 unit on that. And then lastly, I have Charles Oliveira to win by decision plus 1,200. I put a half a unit on that. That's it. That's the breakdown. Sorry, my throat and my nose is killing me right now. I'm like, it's just itchy and my throat is killing me. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the breakdown. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Sorry it's on a Friday. I try to get this episode out earlier, but we'll try to do better. But hopefully I do enough to earn your sub with this breakdown. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube page. I will be uploading predictions. And then I have my social media pages down in the description below as well. If you guys want to go check out the content, I'm trying to upload a little bit more MMA content on my social media pages. Yeah, I'm getting to it. And then if you're listening to this on Spotify, hopefully you, after you're done with this podcast, you hit the follow button, you follow the podcast, and kind of making money over here. All right. And not every card is going to be a money making card, but I'm doing my best to put money in your pockets if you guys are betting on these cards. So if you guys want to pay me back, hit the subscribe button and hit the follow button on these platforms that you listen to this podcast on. And that's enough generosity from you guys. That's all I can ask for. Thank you guys again. And see you guys on the next breakdown next week.